My wife lied about having cancer to steal money from me. Then I flipped everything. You never really expect the person you trust the most to be the one who wrecks your whole damn life. Like, out of all people, your wife? The one you thought had your back no matter what? That's where I was. Married, stable, nothing crazy. We had the usual life: bills, vacations, little fights, makeups, nothing that ever made me doubt anything. And then one night, she sits me down, tears rolling, voice shaking, and says, "I need to tell you something, it's cancer." And bro, my brain just froze. You don't stop to question it, you don't think. You just drop everything and go full survival mode. You do whatever you have to do to fix it. So yeah, we started treatments. Or at least I thought we did. Hospital visits, chemo sessions, meds, everything moved fast. She lost her hair, got pale, barely stayed awake some days. Watching it crushed me. And man, the money? It just evaporated. Savings? Wiped out. Credit cards? Maxed. My parents pitched in. Her family threw in whatever they had. Friends set up fundraisers. Even strangers online started donating. Everyone believed her. I mean, how couldn't you? She looked sick. She acted sick. She sold it like a pro. But none of it was real. Not a single part. She scammed every single one of us, and I was right in the middle of it. If you're into crazy true stories like this, hit that subscribe, because trust me, this one goes way deeper than you think. People were showing up with casseroles, dropping off gift cards, setting up meal trains. Her friends from work organized a freaking charity fundraiser for her treatments. My parents? Man, they were pulling money out of their retirement account like it was nothing, just so she could see the best specialists. My mom even told me one night, "She's family now. You don't think about money when it comes to family." And I believed that, you know? I was grateful. We all were. Everyone around us rallied. The whole community came together. And meanwhile, I'm over here drowning in bills, but telling myself, it's worth it. We'll get through this. That was my mindset. But you know what's messed up? It's not just the money. It's the emotional toll. The sleepless nights. The breakdowns. The anxiety. Every time she said, "I'm feeling worse today," my heart would sink. Every time she coughed or looked pale, I'd panic inside, thinking maybe this was it. And she knew exactly how to play it. Looking back, there were little things that should have triggered something in my head, but when you're inside it, you don't see clearly. Like how we never saw a single medical bill directly. Everything was taken care of through the hospital system. Or, the insurance handled it. She always had an excuse ready. And I bought it, every single time. She'd say, "Don't worry, babe, the billing department called me directly, I handled it." And I'd just nod, thinking she's already going through enough. The last thing she needs is me adding stress about paperwork. I didn't realize at the time, but she wasn't just lying to me. She was manipulating everyone. Her parents, my parents, our friends, coworkers, she played us all like pieces on a chessboard. And that fake vulnerability? It made everyone drop their guard. Because who questions someone with cancer, right? Who's that heartless? And that's exactly why she got away with it for as long as she did. I started noticing little cracks. You know that gut feeling when something doesn't add up, but you can't quite put your finger on it? Yeah. That. Like how every time I offered to come with her to certain treatments, she'd suddenly have some excuse. "Babe, today's just blood work, no point in you sitting in a waiting room for hours." Or, "They rescheduled last minute, I'll handle it tomorrow." And because I didn't want to stress her out more, I let it go. Over and over. That was my first mistake. Then came the weird charges. I started seeing odd activity on our joint account, small transfers, weird Venmo payments to names I didn't recognize, luxury purchases that she claimed were retail therapy to cope with the stress. And again I told myself, she's fighting cancer, let her have some comfort. My friends though? They started throwing little comments here and there. One night over beers, my buddy Chris straight up said, "Man, not trying to be a jerk, but something feels off, bro. You sure everything's legit? Like, have you even seen her medical reports?" I laughed it off at first, said something like, "Dude, she's my wife, of course it's legit." But inside, that tiny doubt started crawling under my skin. That's when I decided to start paying attention. Quietly. Without her knowing. The next time she said she had an appointment, I followed her. Parked a few cars back, watched from across the street. And where did she go? Not the hospital. Not the clinic. She went straight into a freaking spa. Like, full-on luxury spa, cucumber water and fluffy robes type deal. I sat there gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. I swear my heart was pounding so loud I thought people walking by could hear it. My head was spinning. Part of me wanted to storm in right there. Just confront her on the spot, blow it all up. But something told me, no. Not yet. Because if I was gonna take her down, I needed more than just one spa visit. I needed proof. Solid proof. And that's when I shifted into full-on detective mode. So yeah, I started tracking her. Not like in some weird stalker way, but methodically. Every appointment, every excuse, I logged it. Made a little file on my phone. Time, date, where she said she was going versus where she actually ended up. And every damn time? It was never the hospital. One day it's the spa, next it's a high-end nail salon, another day it's some bougie boutique downtown buying designer crap. I even caught her one morning meeting some woman at a brunch spot. Turns out it was one of those private wellness consultants who basically sell you overpriced nonsense like detox packages and energy healing sessions. And I'm sitting there in my car like, how deep does this freaking rabbit hole go? And yeah, I could feel the anger building, but also, honestly, embarrassment. Humiliation. Like, how did I not see this? How stupid did I look to everyone? Here I was working overtime, losing sleep, calling my family for help with money while she was out here spending it on massages, handbags, and whatever the hell else. And then the worst part hit me one evening while I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. What if she doesn't even love me at all? What if all these years she's been playing me from the start? That thought made my stomach turn more than anything else. So yeah, I kept digging. Quiet. Calculated. I pulled credit reports, checked bank accounts she didn't know I had access to, started cross-referencing stuff with a friend who works in finance. And let me tell you something, the deeper I looked, the uglier it got. She had multiple secret savings accounts under her maiden name. She'd been funneling money into them for months, way before the cancer even started. We're talking thousands and thousands. Vacations booked for dates in the future where she'd supposedly still be in chemo. Jewelry purchases in cash. Even payments to some sketchy-looking private investigator, which, yeah, that part threw me hard. Like, what the hell was she even planning? Was she preparing for divorce? Blackmail? Insurance fraud? I didn't know, but at that point, I wasn't even sure I wanted to know all of it yet. I just knew one thing, she wasn't sick. Not even close. And she was playing everyone around us like fools. I remember my buddy Chris texting me one night, after I vented to him about everything I'd found. Dude, you gotta blow this up now. She deserves it. Expose her. And yeah, a part of me wanted to. But I texted him back. Not yet. She's not done hanging herself. Because at that point, I wasn't looking for a fight. I was setting a trap. So yeah, once I shifted into full-on trap mode, everything slowed down in my head. I stopped reacting emotionally and started playing her game, but better. Like, okay, if she wants to run a scam, I'll let her dig her hole deeper while I build my case. And honestly, she made it easy. The more comfortable she felt, the sloppier she got. She started talking more openly about, when we get past all this, or once the money situation's stable again. Dropping hints that didn't even make sense if she was supposedly dying. She even started making weird little purchases that felt more like long-term investments, like a down payment on some beach condo. For after treatment. Which of course was fully in her name, using money from one of her hidden accounts. Meanwhile, I kept pulling threads. I hired a private investigator behind her back. I figured, if she had no problem using one to probably dig dirt on me, I might as well get a pro involved too. This guy? He was worth every penny. Within 2 weeks, he had a full file on her side hustle. Turns out, she wasn't just scamming me, she was running multiple small-time scams on charity groups, some fake online crowdfunding pages, even collecting money from ex-boyfriends who still thought she was fighting for her life. Freaking wild, man. Like, she was running a whole network while playing the poor sick wife card at home. And still, I didn't confront her. Every time she'd come home all fake exhausted, collapsing on the couch like, I had such a rough day at chemo. I just nod, rub her back, bring her tea like the perfect husband. Inside though, my blood was boiling. But I wasn't about to ruin my own plan by going off too early. Nah. I was stacking receipts. I even got some of our friends involved, low-key obviously. Like Sarah, one of her coworkers, who started noticing how my wife would conveniently disappear for appointments during work hours but never actually looked sick at the office. She told me straight up one night when we grabbed coffee. Look, I don't want to start drama, but something's seriously off with her. She doesn't act like she's sick at work at all. It's almost like she forgets she's supposed to be dying. That pretty much locked it in for me. At this point, I knew I had enough. But still, I waited. Because now, I wanted her to feel untouchable right before I flipped it all on her. The more arrogant she got, the sweeter the fall was gonna be. And oh boy, she was getting real confident. She started making little digs at me, like I was some desperate puppy clinging to her. I remember one night she smirked while sipping wine and said, "You're lucky I'm still here. Most women wouldn't stay knowing their husband can't even fully support them through something like this." I just smiled, leaned back, and said, "You're right. I'm really lucky." She thought she had me wrapped around her finger. And that's exactly where I wanted her. What made it even crazier was how bold she started getting with my family too. My parents, man, they were so invested emotionally. They practically emptied part of their savings trying to help us. My mom was constantly over, bringing food, offering to drive her to treatments, and every time my wife would pull the same act. Sitting there weak, rubbing her temples, talking all soft like she barely had the energy to speak, thanking my mom for everything she's done, with that fake grateful voice. And I'd just sit across the room, watching this damn performance like I was sitting front row at some twisted off-Broadway show. One night my dad pulled me aside. He's not an emotional guy, never has been. But that night, his voice cracked a bit when he said, "Son, I'm proud of you. The way you stood by her through all this. Not every man would handle it like you have." I swear something in my chest almost snapped hearing that, 'cause he had no idea he was actually praising me for letting myself get played. I just nodded, forced a smile, told him, "Thanks, Dad. Trying my best." And yeah, part of me wanted to just break down right there, but I swallowed it, because this wasn't about my pride anymore, it was about setting up the fall. And while she kept playing her role, I kept stacking receipts. The private investigator kept feeding me more dirt. Turns out she even opened some anonymous GoFundMe pages under different names, using fake sob stories about being a single mom fighting terminal illness. Different photos, different backstories, same con. And bro, the worst part? People were donating. Total strangers pouring in money thinking they were helping some poor sick woman. Meanwhile, she's racking it all up, living like some low-budget Kardashian on the side. She had online shopping packages arriving almost daily now, always when I was supposed to be at work. Clothes, shoes, skincare, crap I didn't even recognize. She was slipping. She got sloppy because she thought she won. And honestly, I let her think that. I made sure she felt untouchable. If she wanted something, I agreed. "Of course, babe, whatever makes you comfortable." If she wanted to skip a treatment day? "Sure, honey, your body knows best." I even started encouraging her to take care of herself more, giving her extra cash to fuel her own lies, because every dollar she touched was more evidence in my file. My buddy Chris, who's been my sounding board through all this, kept telling me, "Dude, you're playing a dangerous game, man. What if she catches on?" And yeah, that thought haunted me too. But at this point, I was so deep into this trap, pulling back wasn't an option anymore. I had to see it through. And truth be told, I wanted her to keep digging her own grave. I wanted her to feel so safe that when I finally pulled the trigger, she'd never even see it coming. I wanted that look on her face, the one where everything shatters all at once. Everything really started shifting that weekend when she planned this healing retreat trip with her girlfriends. Supposedly some kind of special holistic wellness getaway for cancer patients. She pitched it to me with that sweet little voice, rubbing my arm like, "Babe, I just need a little escape, you know? Something to recharge. The doctors say keeping my stress low is important." And of course I acted like the supportive husband. I even offered to cover the whole cost, knowing damn well where that money was really going. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek, and said, "You really are the best husband. I don't deserve you." Yeah. No kidding. The second she left, though, that was my green light. I called my PI, told him to follow everything, track every stop. And man, that's when I got the full picture. She never went to any healing retreat. She went to freaking Vegas. Full-blown 5-star hotel suite, spa services, poolside cocktails, shopping, and not a single one of her so-called sick friends in sight. Oh, and she wasn't alone. The PI snapped photos of her with some random guy, younger dude, gym body, full sleeve tattoos, not exactly a doctor or therapist, you feel me? They were all over each other like teenagers on spring break. I sat in my living room scrolling through those pictures like my entire stomach was turning inside out. Like, yeah, I already knew she was lying about being sick. But seeing her out there living her best life with some dude while my parents were cashing out retirement funds to keep her alive, that flipped a whole new switch in my head. I wasn't just angry anymore. I wanted to burn everything down. And that's when I started building the full takedown. I didn't want to just expose her to friends and family. No. That was too small. I wanted this to hit on every level. Financially, legally, socially. I started working with my PI and an attorney buddy of mine, laying out everything: the fake medical records, the GoFundMe scams, the multiple hidden bank accounts, the fake charities, the cheating, the fraud. The paper trail was insane. We had screenshots, credit card statements, surveillance photos, phone records, everything you could possibly need to nuke somebody's life. But still, I waited. Because I needed one more nail in the coffin. So I set up a little trap. I acted like I was freaking out financially, told her my parents couldn't help us anymore, that we might lose the house if we didn't find some extra money. I watched her face light up like a damn Christmas tree, because that was her cue to pull one more scam. And sure enough, she started planning a whole new fundraiser behind my back, using a new fake identity. Like clockwork. And that was the last piece I needed. And you know that sick kind of satisfaction you get when you're watching someone dig their own grave? That's exactly where I was. She kept acting like she was untouchable. More money coming in, more fake treatments, more lies stacking on top of lies. And me? Still playing the part of the supportive husband, right there beside her while she performed for everyone like she was starring in her own damn drama series. She even started making these little passive-aggressive digs at me in front of other people, like, "Not every man would stick around through something like this. I guess I'm lucky mine does his best." And I just smiled and nodded like a fool. Our friends looked at me like I was some kind of hero for staying by her side. And that made her feel even more powerful. My dad, man, he was ready to sell part of his land to help us cover the next stage of treatment. And every time I thought she couldn't possibly take it any further, she found new ways. She set up yet another fake fundraiser, complete with heartbreaking photos and a made-up story about some aggressive new stage of her illness. And me and my PI? We were watching every single dollar roll into that account in real time. It was honestly like sitting front row at the world's most twisted show. The way she calculated every word, every tear, every dramatic pause when she told people how scared she was. She was good. Like, disturbingly good. And with every new donation, she got bolder. She even started dropping hints about how, after all this is over, I might need to look into some overseas treatments. You know, just to be safe. Translation? She was already planning the next scam. That's when I knew I was almost there. She was sitting on top of this giant pile of lies, feeling completely invincible. Everybody loved her, everybody pitied her, and I was still standing right there, playing dumb. But I wasn't done yet. I wanted one more piece, the final nail. And of course, she gave it to me sooner than I expected. One night, she came home from one of her treatments, dropped a designer shopping bag on the couch, poured herself a glass of wine, and looked at me with this smug little smirk. "I don't know how you're gonna cover the next round, but I'm sure you'll figure it out. You always do." And I swear, for a second, I almost lost it right there. She was throwing it in my face. Fully convinced that I was too blind or too weak to ever catch on. But what she didn't know was that I was holding a file that could nuke her entire world in one shot. And I was just waiting for the perfect moment to pull the trigger. The crazy part? Even with everything I had on her, a small part of me kept wondering how far she'd actually take this. Like, would she eventually pull back? Would guilt finally eat at her? But no, man. She kept doubling down like she was invincible. I guess that's how people like her work. The more they get away with, the more untouchable they feel. And that's exactly what made my plan work even better. The next few weeks, I barely even had to pretend anymore. She was so full of herself that she stopped noticing my behavior. She thought she had fully broken me, like I was too drained to even think straight anymore. But in reality, I was watching her burn everything down with both hands. And she was smiling while she did it. The final piece came in through my PI one afternoon. He called me and said, "Man, you're not gonna believe this one." Turns out, she was filing paperwork for a new fake charity under a completely different identity, using documents she forged months earlier. She was prepping her next scam while still bleeding us dry. And while she was doing all that, she was still parading around like the poor terminal wife. Posting sad updates online, faking hospital selfies, collecting more donations, and milking every last drop of sympathy she could get from anyone who'd listen. And yeah, plenty of people kept throwing cash at her. Total strangers. People we barely even knew. I sat there late one night staring at all the files, The bank records, fake fundraisers, travel logs, the photos of her with the guy in Vegas, the offshore accounts, the forged documents. It was overwhelming how deep she'd gone. This wasn't some little lie anymore. This was full-blown fraud on every level. I had enough to bury her in court for years if I wanted. But it wasn't just about legal revenge anymore. I wanted everyone to see what she really was. My family, her family, all those friends who kept saying how strong she was, how inspiring, how I was so lucky to have such a brave wife. No. They needed to see the monster behind the act. So yeah, I started setting the stage. Quietly, strategically. First, I met with my lawyer and locked down every bit of evidence. Then I met with a prosecutor my buddy connected me with, handed over everything. His face when he flipped through the file was priceless. "She's cooked," he said. "This is gonna blow up fast." And then? I waited. Because I didn't want her to hear it from me. I wanted her to get hit by it like a train. Meanwhile, she kept playing her role like nothing was wrong. She was already planning her next treatment trip, trying to convince my parents to help fund it. She sat across the table from my dad one night. This woman had the nerve to say, "You've always been like a second father to me. I don't know how I'd survive without you." And my dad, God bless him, reached for his checkbook right there. I had to stop him. I placed my hand gently on his wrist and said, "No, Dad. We'll handle this one. You've done enough." She shot me this weird look, like she wasn't sure if I was finally cracking or just being sweet. I smiled back at her. "Don't worry, babe. Everything's gonna work itself out real soon." And in my head, I knew exactly how soon that was about to be. The day everything kicked off didn't even feel dramatic at first. It was a Thursday morning. She was sitting in the kitchen in her robe, scrolling on her phone, probably watching the donation totals climb, sipping her overpriced detox tea like she was some damn celebrity influencer. She had no clue that her whole world was about to implode. Around noon, the knock came at the door. 2 detectives. Calm, professional, polite. "We're here to speak with Mrs. Taylor." She froze for half a second, barely noticeable, but I caught it. That tiny flicker of panic in her eyes. Then she slipped right back into character. "Of course, officers, is everything all right?" Her voice was pure honey. One of them pulled out a file, flipped it open. "We'd like to ask you a few questions about several financial accounts and medical records we've been investigating." And that's when it finally hit her. This wasn't random. This was serious. I stood off to the side, pretending to look confused, like I had no idea what was going on. She glanced over at me like she was waiting for me to step in, rescue her, play dumb like always. But I just stared back at her, stone cold, not saying a word. The officers asked if she'd be willing to come down to the station to answer a few more questions. She tried to stay cool, but her hands were shaking as she grabbed her purse. Before she left, she whispered through clenched teeth, "You knew." And I just gave her the smallest smirk. "Good luck, sweetheart." And man, watching her walk out that door, I can't even describe the feeling. That weight that had been sitting on my chest for months just started peeling off. But it didn't stop there. Within hours, the investigation went public. The charity sites got shut down, the fraud reports hit the media, and suddenly the woman everyone praised as this brave, inspiring cancer warrior was being exposed as a professional scammer. My phone started blowing up. Friends, family, coworkers, all of them calling, texting, completely blindsided. My mom called me in tears. "I can't believe this. All this time? She lied to all of us?" I just told her. "Yeah, Mom. All of us." My dad? Man, he was furious. "I almost gave her everything I had left, son. Everything." And for once, I could finally say it out loud. "She was never sick, Dad. Not for a single damn day." And hearing myself say those words out loud for the first time? That's when it fully sank in, how deep this went. People started distancing themselves from her immediately. The same friends who used to throw fundraisers for her were now deleting her photos off social media. Her coworkers? Straight up cut her off. And you know what the wildest part was? She actually tried to reach out to me from the station, like somehow I was still supposed to save her. She called and left a voicemail, sobbing. "Please, you don't have to do this. We can fix this together. I made mistakes, but I did it for us." Like seriously? For us? After everything? Nah. That door was shut permanently. I forwarded that message straight to my lawyer. The fallout came fast. Once the news broke and the investigation went public, her world collapsed in real time. The charity sites froze her accounts, the fraud complaints started stacking up like wildfire, and every single donation platform she used flagged her for criminal investigation. Within 48 hours, she went from everyone's hero to a walking scandal. News stations picked it up too, small town, big drama. Woman fakes terminal illness to steal from husband, family, and community. I mean, they even used her wedding photos on TV. That's how deep the humiliation cut. And yeah, people love a good fall from grace story. All those friends who used to praise her strength, they ghosted her instantly. The same neighbors who brought her casseroles and prayers. Now they wouldn't even make eye contact when her name came up. My phone didn't stop ringing for days. Family, friends, coworkers, everyone was reaching out, either to apologize for doubting me or to share some story about how they always had a weird feeling about her. Of course they did. Hindsight's always 20/20, right? My dad, though, that man was fuming. I've never seen him like that. He called me one night and said, "Son, I was ready to give her every penny I had left. I trusted her. We all did." I just told him, "Yeah, Dad. We all got played. But it's over now." And honestly, that was the first night in months I actually slept like a human being again. Meanwhile, her side was a complete circus. Her family tried to spin it at first, the whole. She made mistakes, but she was under emotional pressure. Nonsense. But as more evidence piled up, the fake GoFundMe pages, the offshore accounts, the forged documents, even they couldn't keep defending her. They went radio silent real quick. And then came the court stuff. Fraud charges. Wire fraud, charity fraud, identity theft, falsifying medical records, the list just kept growing. My lawyer kept updating me like, every time they dig, they find something worse. And yeah, I was sitting there with a front row seat, watching this tornado tear through everything she built. She tried reaching out again, called my lawyer, called my parents, tried to send letters. Same pathetic lines. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I still love him, can we fix this?" Fix this? Like hell. My lawyer shut her down at every turn. All communication goes through us now. She finally got hit with a full-blown restraining order after she showed up at my work one day, bawling in the parking lot, begging for me to just talk. My coworkers saw the whole thing. And you know what? Not a single one of them judged me for it. If anything, they respected me more after knowing how long I played it cool while building the case. One of my buddies pulled me aside after work and said, "Man, I don't know how you didn't lose your mind sooner. You handled this like a freaking pro." And yeah, maybe I did. But it wasn't about patience at that point. It was about making sure when she went down, there'd be no way out. The trial was brutal. She walked into that courtroom looking like a ghost, makeup barely covering the stress, hair pulled back tight, the fake, sick girl persona completely stripped away. And sitting across from her, I could finally see it, that crack in her armor she never thought she'd show. The prosecutors laid everything out like clockwork. Fraud charges stacked so high even her defense attorney couldn't find anything decent to argue. They presented every donation record, every forged document, every secret bank account. The photos from Vegas hit like a bomb. When they showed those pictures of her and that guy by the pool, all cozy while she was supposedly fighting for her life, you could hear the gasps in the courtroom. And man, watching her squirm while they read the charges? I won't lie, I felt no guilt. None. She did this to herself. My family sat behind me in complete silence. My mom, who once cried for her, now sat there stone-faced. My dad, he looked like he was barely containing his anger, gripping his hands so hard his knuckles turned white. Her family? Most of them didn't even show up. The few who did kept their heads down the whole time. They knew. Everyone knew now. She got hit with everything: wire fraud, charity fraud, identity theft, falsifying medical records, tax evasion. The judge didn't hold back either. You exploited the generosity and emotions of countless individuals for your own financial gain, all while mocking those who genuinely suffer from the very illness you pretended to battle. And when the sentence dropped, multiple years behind bars, full asset seizure, mandatory restitution, she finally broke. She burst into tears, tried to look at me one last time like she was searching for sympathy or mercy. But I didn't flinch. I didn't nod. I didn't blink. She wasn't gonna get one more drop from me. After the sentencing, people kept coming up to me like I was some hero. "Man, I can't believe how strong you were through all this. I wouldn't have had the patience to pull that off." And maybe they're right. But honestly, I didn't do it to be strong. I did it because someone needed to make sure she never got to do this to anyone else again. And now, she's sitting in prison while I finally have my life back. Clean. Peaceful. No more lies. No more games. Just freedom. But sometimes late at night, I still sit back and think, how the hell did I even survive all of that? How did it get this far before anyone saw the truth? And I gotta ask you, if you were in my shoes, would you have handled it like I did? Or would you have snapped long before? Drop your thoughts below. And if you made it this far, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. It really helps us out and lets us keep sharing stories like this one.